Hi everyone and welcome to this SAPHEA tutorial. My name is Giulia Conforto. I'm a senior researcher at eThink Energy Research, and today I will talk about how to finance geothermal district heating and cooling. So within SAPHEA we have developed a mapping of financing instruments for geothermal district heating and cooling systems, and also a report on financing blueprints. First, the mapping, a status report of the financial mechanisms that are currently available in Europe to support geothermal district heating and cooling projects. This work is based on a data set. You have two resources that you can access. One is the report. The report identifies the main instruments that are currently available. On the public side, we have grants and tax incentives and soft loans. And on the private side, equity and some minor lending, mainly green loans from ground source heat pumps. One of the limitations of this report is that not always the budget allocated to each instrument was disclosed. Therefore, we have on the one side the assessment of the number of instruments and their types, and on the other side we have the assessment of the overall spending in that country provided at aggregated level. Now, if you want to access the report, you can find it on the Geothermal Single Market Uptake Hub in the section Knowledge Base. You scroll down and you find it here, Status Report on Financial Mechanisms. It's available for download. There we go. And if we scroll down to the table of contents, you can see that the report first offers, of course, an executive summary and then dives into the methodology. That is important because one of the peculiarities of this mapping is that it suffers from a very rapid obsolescence. So there are schemes that are discontinued constantly, and there are new schemes that are introduced and launched. Therefore, if you would like to update the mapping in your region or in your country, you can follow the methodology step by step, and you also have all the links to the resources that have been used for your country, the keywords and everything that can help you in updating this mapping. Then there is an assessment of the results and findings. Next, another resource that we have developed within the SAPHEA project is the actual dataset. Now, this dataset is an export of an overall dataset that has been co-financed by various projects, SAPHEA, Cool Life, Act on Heat, and that collected all the financing instruments available at the moment in Europe for the decarbonization of the building stock. Now, you can access the data set developed in SAPHEA relevant for geothermal district heating and cooling networks, again from the Single Market Uptake Hub in the section Data Viewers. Now, here again you have a link to the status report, and if you scroll down, here it is integrated. Now you see there is a cover slide presenting the content of the mapping. Then you have a tab with the schemes available by country. You can filter per country, and also you can find here the European level. You can also filter per level, so you have the European level, the national, regional, and local level. Of course, we identified the main instruments at the local and regional level, but we might have skipped some of the minor ones. Each scheme is presented with the name in English and its name in the local language, and then it's mapped for the sectors for which it is relevant. So you find building efficiency, heating and cooling efficiency, renewables in heating and cooling, district heating and cooling, geothermal district heating and cooling, that is our focus in SAPHEA, and then cooling alone. And there is an indication of the buildings for which the scheme is relevant, if they are residential or non-residential buildings. Then a classification of the scheme type, the type of instrument. If it is a loan, then it's marked as debt financing, or a grant or a subsidy, or for instance we have the energy efficiency obligations, or we have other types of instruments such as advisory services and technical assistance, or equity financing. Then each scheme has at least one link that brings you to the page where the whole scheme is described. If there are any other links that are relevant, they are also mapped. And for the public schemes, we also have the starting year when that scheme was first introduced, and a short description of what the scheme offers, and the last day on which the page was visited. So if you find any link that is broken, don't worry, you can still find if the scheme is available by searching the scheme full title in the local language. It might also be that the scheme has been discontinued, but if you look up the source where the scheme was made available, so the main website, not that specific page, you might find that that scheme has been replaced with a new scheme that has been introduced after we drafted the whole mapping. There is a second page on the private schemes, which contains more or less the same information. One interesting aspect to note is that there is a column with the providers, so the bank or the investment firm that provides that financing scheme. Why have we added this? Because there are not many commercial products that are available for geothermal district heating and cooling networks. There are a few green loans that can be used for ground source heat pumps, and could be used for a larger heat pump that can connect a very limited number of buildings, but there are no commercial products for district or city-wide networks. At the same time, knowing which banks in your country or in your region are offering green products is relevant, because it is most likely that that bank has a green finance dedicated office, and then you can go and discuss with them other financing options. Again, here you find the sectors, the type of instruments, the links, and the description with the date the page was last visited. Then there is one last tool that we have developed in the SAPHEA project, which is the report on blueprints for geothermal district heating and cooling financing. Now, this report sets the ground for leveraging this knowledge for boosting and unlocking financing for geothermal district heating and cooling networks. So there is an overview of the sources of capital available. There is an overview of the risks that geothermal district heating and cooling projects incur into, and why they are so important, and which risk mitigation instruments are available at the moment to mitigate those risks. And then there is a proposition for a few blueprints that could really deliver a change of pace in financing geothermal district heating and cooling projects. For instance, an EU-wide risk mitigation instrument covering the short-term resource risk, in a mechanism of asset-based financing, the option for a reinsurance market, and then for a visionary proposal that is a European geothermal bank. Now, this blueprint looks into the fact that whatever risk mitigation instrument for the short-term resource risks to be to incur into net losses for the projects that are not successful, especially in greenfield areas. And to compensate that loss, the idea behind this blueprint would be to combine other financial instruments that instead produce a net revenue. For instance, lending instruments for low-risk projects, for instance, very well-known areas, or a shallow geothermal projects, or issuing green bonds that can return an interest on the lending, on the investment. This report is going to be soon available also on the Market Uptake Hub. This brings us to the end of this tutorial on the tools that SAPHEA has developed for helping you in financing geothermal district heating and cooling projects. You can find all the links to the resources that are mentioned in this tutorial in the description below under this video. Thank you for your attention, thank you for watching, and stay tuned. Bye.